Yeah. We're now addressing ourselves to chapter 20, to the first pasuk in chapter 20, which is what we might call a central pasuk beneged to the etzaminyan of Matan Torah. In other words, that we find that there's been a lot of preparations. Moshe Rabbeinu has been going up and down and receiving all sorts of directives from Hashem how to prepare everybody. And then with this chapter we begin what is in effect the Ikar Inyan of Matan Torah. And the Ikar Inyan of Matan Torah is the Aseret HaDibros, because that's what Yidden heard, the first two Dibros, and then after that they heard either from Moshe Rabbeinu or from Hashem. There are different opinions about that. However, that's the whole Ikar of Matan Torah, is the Aseret HaDibros. And all the other inyanim that Moshe Rabbeinu received, he received later when he was with Hashem alone on the mountain for 40 days. For 39 days after the whole inyan. This is like what you might call the central, blow, or the central bomber, to use the expression, of the whole inyan of Matan Torah. And particularly in the light of what the Alter Rebbe says in chapter 20, it's interesting, this is chapter 20, and in Tanya it's also chapter 20. The Alter Rebbe says over there that the first two Dibros, they are the Klali Kol HaTorah Kula. And then it's mashma, if you look carefully over there, that the Aseret HaDibros, they are like the whole Torah, expressed in a very, how do you call it, powerfully Nikuda Dika way, centralized, or maybe I can use the expression, everything centralized in a few words is the whole inyan. The Alter Rebbe writes over there, and there are certain great Sfarim that they undertook, and you can get these Sfarim, that they go according to each letter in the Aseret HaDibros, and they show which mitzvah is connected with, and its halachas, how that's connected with one os in the Aseret HaDibros. So the Aseret HaDibros are very central. It's like the Klali Inyan of Matan Torah. So, apart from being the etzaminyan of Klali Kol HaTorah, and the first two Dibros, which we're going to see in a minute, they heard directly from Hashem, the Yidden, Noichi and Lo Yelcho Elokim Acherim Al Panai. Those are the first two Dibros. The Alter Rebbe says they're Klali Kol HaTorah Kula, that all the mitzvahs, all the positive mitzvahs, all the active mitzvahs, things it's got to do, Bapoil, all derive, even the mitzvahs, the Rabbanan and everything, all of them derive from Anoichi. And all the warnings that you must keep away, all the Loi Saseh in the Torah, every aspect of it comes from Loi Yelcho Elokim Acherim. But those two inyanim are like the Klali Kol HaTorah. So, that's generally speaking. So, wait a second, where are we? Yeah. Vayidaber Elokim es kol hadvarim ha'ilus. That's how the chapter 20 begins. That the Eibishter spoke as kol hadvarim ha'ilus le'moel. And then begins the Aseret HaDibros. So if we look in Rashi, on the pasuk es kol hadvarim ha'ilus, the Eibishter spoke all of these inyanim. Comes along Rashi, and Rashi says a very, what I find to be a very surprising thing, he learns it into the words, it's kol hadvarim ha'ilus. It's mashma that at the beginning the Eivos said the whole lot. as they say in the modern Hebrew, Ukvat Diberet Hakol. He'd already said everything. So, Es Kol HaDvarim Ha'elu, Melamed, She'omar HaKadosh Baruch Hu Aseres HaDibreis B'dibur Echad. That the Eibishter said the whole Aseres HaDibreis in one dibur. In other words, it was only one statement, but it was all the 10 dibros. And he says, Masha Efshar La'odom Loimer Kain. He said, a mensch can't possibly do that. That is only a divine action. That in one dibur, that it can be already kol aseres hadibros, that only the Eibishter can do. Yeah, and therefore, that's the expression, Masha Efshar La'odom Loimer Kain. A mensch can't say it like that. So he says, Im Kain, Ma Talmud Loimer Oid Anoichi V'lo Yelcho. If the whole Aseres HaDibros was just like one thing which we can't really, and it's written in other places, Rashi only brings one side of it. Rashi says it's impossible for a mensch to say a thing like that. In other places it's written that he also can't hear a thing like that. Not only he couldn't say it, but you can't hear, had he got 10 different things all kolul in one thing. The ear doesn't take that. So, therefore Rashi says, Im kain ma Talmud lo ma'oid anoichi v'lo yilachol. Why does Im kain, if it was all said in a way that's not possible for a man to either say or to experience, it's not possible for him to hear, why is it all written like 10 separate statements? It wasn't given that way, so why is it written 10 separate statements? So he says, Rashi, he says, Shechoza, that comes to teach me that he went back. Piresh al kol dibo v'dibo bifnei atzmoi. That the Eibishter went back and he gave each dibo separately and he said what was the pirush. Because the way it is inside a statement which has gotten itself all the 10 statements, you don't know what the pshat of any of them are. You don't understand the pirush HaPoshet. So what did Hashem do? He took each one separately and he said what was the pshat. So there are different opinions. Some people say that not Hashem did that, but Moshe Rabbeinu. Hashem told Moshe Rabbeinu, and Moshe Rabbeinu gave over each of the dibros separately with its pirush. There's differing opinions about that. And also, the first 2 dibros, the Rebbe Rashab writes in the Hemshech Samachei, of Shvuos, in Samachei, the Rebbe Rashab says it's well known that all the Yidden heard from the Eibishter the first 2 dibros. So how could they hear the first 2 dibros? The Eibishter said it in a way which is called. So the Rebbe Rashab says, they heard the first 2 dibros. They heard it in this very remarkable way that they didn't really know exactly what it was, but they heard it from the Eibishter, and that's why they said to Moshe Rabbeinu, listen, from now on you have to do everything. We can't take this, you follow? And the reason they couldn't take it was it's beyond humanity, you follow, in a way. Yeah, to hear how things are all one thing when they're really details. That's a mensch. That's not within his koyach, you follow? Since it's not within his koyach, Mela, what happened was that Hashem said, okay, yeah. And from then on was the harikot. From then on was the split into details. So, come along certain people, and they ask a very simple kasha. And they say, why did Hashem need to do all that? Why did he need to give it over, 10 things all in one statement But that's not a human thing. And humans can't say that, and they can't hear it either. Why did he have to do that? Since anyway he went back and he was chayzer, and he gave over each one on its own, except for the first two, according to one pshat. Anyway, all they heard and all that they got, the mitzvahs of the Ten Commandments, which are a very important document that everybody understands that, is why did he have to give it over? Beklal. Why did he say it all in a klal? He anyway didn't rely on that, and that wasn't the way they got it. He went back and he split it into parts. So I asked myself the question, why did Hashem bother to give it over? Beklal, sorry. So you might say, well, that's interesting. A bit further along, when we come to Shabbos, it's written Zocher Hashem HaShabbos L'Kadshoi here. In the Aseret Dibros, how they're repeated in Sefer Dvarim, when Moshe Rabbeinu repeats over the whole Torah, he gives over the Aseret Dibros again, over there. And over there, he begins the mitzvah of Shabbos with a different word. Here it's written Zocher Hashem HaShabbos. You must always remember the day of Shabbos. Over there it's written Shomer Hashem HaShabbos. You must guard the day of Shabbos. So the Gemara in the Masechta Shavuos and in Rosh Hashanah, the Gemara says that Zocher v'Shomer v'Dibur Echad. They were said in one Dibur. So, and you say that every Friday night, whether you're aware of it or not, but you say it every Friday night in the L'chol Deidi. We say, with a nigan, I assume you're singing it with a nigan. Zocher v'Shomer v'Dibur Echad Hishmiyanu Keil HaMiyuchad. Do you follow? We see that it's a Mefurish Gemara. This is a medrash, what Rashi brings in. But it's a Mefurish Gemara that both Zocher and Shomer, they were said all together. They were said, and it's written over there in the Gemara that a mensch can't hear that and he can't say that. So once again occurs the same question: why would Hashem do that? Why would He say Zocher v'Shomer all in one, when anyway it was two different reports in the Torah? Here he reports the first actual Torah, and then over there in Dvarim he's telling about what happened, years ago, and then he uses a different expression, and so the Gemara says, but they were really not human. They were in a way that they were biyachad. And the the L'chol Deidi was written by the Arizal himself.
Shlomo Alkabetz, no?
Shlomo Alkabetz wrote it, but it's based on the Arizal. And therefore, you notice that the Rosh Tevis is the name of Reb Shlomo Alkabetz. It's Shlomo. Anyway, he writes over there that Zocher v'Shomer b'Dibur Echad Hishmiyanu Keil HaMiyuchad. In other words, since the Eibishter is a Miyuchad, he's one, he's absolutely one, he can give you over a statement like that where it's all one, you understand? But once again, ask yourself the question, since men couldn't anyway put up with it, why did he have to do that? Lama hu davke. And it's well known that the two, there's a Gemara in Masechta Shabbos, when Rabbi came out of he was in the cave for 13 years. When he came out, he and Rabbi Elazar, they saw a mensch. It was Erev Shabbos, it was Friday, and it was getting late. And they saw a mensch hurrying, and he was carrying two candles with him, but he was in a big hurry. So they said, what's the two candles? It's not one candle for Shabbos. What do you got to? So he said, no, this is one connected Zocher and one connected Shomer. And so when he said that, then the Rabbi said to Rabbi Elazar, "Whoa, you see the greatness of the Yidden, how medactic they are. One keneged Zocher, one keneged Shomer." And that every Yiddish should talk to, yes, she lights 2 lights. When she has children, she lights more lights for keneged the children. Nimtzulef, he said, that this plays a very basic role in the life of Yidden. Why was it given that way, in a way that a mensch can't really get it, but then he does. And furthermore, why does Rashi have to tell me, especially over there, those 2, Zocher and Shomer, were given together? He said at the beginning that the whole 10 of them were given together. If the whole 10 of them were anyway given all in one statement, why does he have to tell me again by Zocher and Shomer? Yeah, they were given in one diva. Everything was given in one diva. You follow? Avamela, ask yourself the question, what is coming off here? And especially if we look carefully at the 10 statements that the Eibishter created the world. You've heard of the Asura Mamoris in Bereshis, and the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos, and towards the end, beginning of chapter Hay, the Mishnah says that with 10 statements the world was created. Yeah, you're familiar with that Mishnah. That's a Mishnah everybody's familiar with in Pirkei Avos. So over there, immediately the Mishnah says, "V'halui b'mayma echad yochol lihiboris." The Eibishter could have created it with one maima. Right. Yeah. And why did he create it with 10 statements? It says, "Lihipora min harushoyim," to punish the wicked, "v'litein socher toiv letzadikim," and to give a good reward for the tzadikim. So everybody asks, what's got to do one with the other? Elamai, Chassidus explains to us that if everything would have been created in one maima, then everything would have been batil. Nothing would have really had a specific personal existence. Everything would have been kolul inside a general maima. But that's a very high state to be in, because then you're what's called batil. Whatever would have been inside a maima Klali, it would have been completely batil inside that maima. And since Hashem was the one who said the maima, they would have been completely and utterly batil to Hashem. But that's not the way Hashem wants. Hashem. Why? Because Hashem wants that there should be bechira. And if everything would have been batel in the form of a maima echad, then you wouldn't have had what's called choice. You follow? You would have been all bottled. You would have just done everything automatically, and you wouldn't really be anything. You would be all coddled inside him, so you would just do and be whatever he is. You follow? That's not the way Hashem wanted it. Hashem wanted that we should be separate entities. You follow? And we should feel that we are a yes. Yes, you follow? Very nice. We should feel we're a yes. And that presents you with the union that the yes is, it's also got a will, you follow? And that's called the Yetzer Hora, you follow? Or the Nefesh Adam is different madregas. What does it do? It presents you with another idea. And it says, listen, man, you've also got a will, and you've got an ability to come up with ideas. Is to do it your way. So that presents you with the necessity to choose between what Hashem says and what you say. Hashem values that very much. And when you choose the right way, then he gives you a socher tov, he gives you a good reward for that. But if you choose the wrong way, then chas v'sholem, he might consider punishing you. You follow? And therefore the whole union of reward and punishment. And if you look up in Tanya in chapter 22, you'll see that's exactly what the Rebbe says. Study it carefully and you'll see. That in the Aseres and Ma'amaris that the world was created, we find a very similar thing. Yeah, we find that there's 10 of them, but they were really inside one. And that what it's used the word Yochel doesn't mean that only Hashem could have done it. So this teaches me that he really did do it. He created the world in one, everything's bottle. And then he made it like he did here by Matan Torah. He broke it up into details, and he made each one separate. And that brought about the world that everybody's a separate entity. You follow? If a matter, they can be Rishonim and they can be Tzaddikim. Once again, I sought the basic question: why did you need to make it that everybody was one? Everybody was one thing. You follow? Everything was kol inside the Maimah Echad. What do you need to do that for? Rapul, it's not like that. Rapul, you made it into, everybody's a separate entity. Everybody's got his own Yetzirah. If a mirror, that's all. Do it that way, in fact. And so you might say, well, maybe they don't have any connection one with the other. Oh, yes, they do. There's a whole big statement of the Zohar HaKodesh at the beginning of Cheli Gimel, in Vayikra. And the Zohar HaKodesh says that there's a big parallel between the 10 of the Aseras Hadibris and the 10 of the Asara Mamaris, and they're like parallel, one to the other. And the Zohar learns of there all sorts of wondrous inyonim, how this is similar to this. I'm not going into all the details. Of Al Chaponim, we see that the Aseras Mamaris are parallel to the Aseras Hadibris. And therefore they've got both of them have the same thing. The Aseres Hadibris started off in a cloud, and then it became detailed. So did the Asara Mamaris. The Asara Mamaris started off in a general way, and then it became specific. So the question is asked, what did you need to make it start in a general way? Was it? Mazeh Noten li. And there's another famous Torah, what the Rebbe brings it in several places, that the Mezritch Magid, he said, this is a wondrous idea that what the Zohar says, that the Aseras Hadibras and the Asera Mamaris that created the world are parallel, like they have interrelations one with the other. What is it, ultimately, what is the nafkamina? What's the practical significance or the practical message from the fact that they're parallel and they have a relationship one with the other. So the Maggid said the whole purpose of the whole creation is you have to take the Aseres Hadibris and bring them down into the Aseres Mamaris. You follow? You got to make them. You had to go this one into this one, and then what happens? That all the Asara Mamaris are full of the Aseres Hadibris. Then the world becomes a Torah world. You follow? Everything is Hashgacha Pratiyas, and everything's according to Torah. And if you live that way, you see it, it's a different outlook altogether. And a Torah person, he has to unite them, not just say that they're parallel and they have an interrelation and all these wondrous things, but this is made, the Aseres Hadibris, their holiness to be much bigger into the Aseres Asara Mamaris. That would indicate that anything that's characteristic of the Aseres Hadibris is also not only characteristic and not only to be found in the Aseres Mamaris, but the whole purpose is to be to use the expression that the Chassidish Loshen, to be mamshich, to bring down the Aseres Hadibris into the Asara Mamaris. So everybody's saying, "Oh, but where's the story?" Every week you tell a story. What happened? So we'll will tell you a story. It could be I've already told the story. If I did, then, everybody will forgive me. There was once a mitzvah where a person came to a farbringen by the Rabbi, and he was a young fellow, a bocher still, and he was interested in coming to Yiddishkeit. He hadn't fully accepted it, but he was, and he saw the farbringen, he saw all the chassidim and the nigunim, and the whole thing, and the Rebbe. And so he got, after Shabbos, he had what's called a yechidas, with the Rebbe. He was written down, but he got in, after he'd been by this farbringen. So he more or less asked the Rebbe, what does the Rebbe want with all this? What is the aim? What is the Rebbe trying to do? What is he aiming at? So the Rebbe said to him that the Yidden were put into the world in order to light up the world. That's why they come down into the world. The world, the way it is a dark place. And the Yidden come down into the world in order to light it up, to illuminate it. So he said, in order to do that, either just human like anybody else, in order to do that, you have to light up the very special thing about a Yid, and that's his nefesh elokis. His nefesh elokis, that he calls what we call in Yiddish the Yiddish neshama. The Yiddish neshama. You have to light it up, and once the nefesh elokis gets a light, then it gives off light around, to other people. So the Rebbe said, what I do is I try to light up the neshamas, and then once I put a bit of light into the neshamas, and the nefesh elokis, then they go ahead and they make litik, develop. So the Baruch was very impressed with that. And when he was leaving, when he was walking out of the Yechidas, so you guys already heard the Maaseh?
No.
As he was walking out of the Yechidas, he said to the Rebbe, do you believe that you've lit up my neshama? You follow?
Yeah.
Do you think you've lit up my neshama, my nefesh? So the Rebbe said, I'm not aiming to do that. He said, what I've done is I've given you the match. I've put the match into your hand. He said, but you've got to light up your own light. That you have to do yourself. He said, I've given you the cloud, the general picture. He said, to bring it down into the pratim, he said, you've got to do that yourself. You follow? And that's what the Mishnah means with these, the 10 statements that the world was created. You become like a separate entity. If you would have been inside the cloud, then you'd have been like an angel, Right. You wouldn't have had any, you wouldn't have any bechira, you wouldn't have, So, he said, what I do is I reveal, how you really are supposed to be, but to light up the world and to light up your own goof and your own, you've got to do that yourself. If I've given you the ability to do that. I've actually put the match into your hand. I've given you the cloud, but you've got to bring it into the prat yourself. You follow? And every day is a new prat. It's a new series of pratim. You follow? So, imkein lepizeh kuntois, that, and also we find certain stories about great people that on Shabbos, they would be completely and utterly different than they were in the weekdays. And I saw chassidim that, normally in the weekdays they were makpid to daven in the morning, they would daven shortly after this month, Toik's month for the Chayes. That's a whole discussion all in its own right. But on Shabbos, they would start davening at Chayes in the afternoon, and then they would daven, the whole afternoon. And just before Minzia, they would chop a little bit of a Suda or something. Yep. And it was, I mean, I think I've mentioned this already, but if I have, then everybody can chop a shlof. And that is that they've given out a new copy of the Tamim, the Sefer Tamim. What is the picture there? The picture is of a chassid, probably Shabbos afternoon, because he doesn't have tefillin. Well, his head is covered with the talis. But I don't see in his hand any sign of tefillin. So it's probably Shabbos. And he's sitting there and he's talis over his head and he's, you follow?